my solution is I don't think they should be allowed to actually compete. That's my thing. My thing is that because people say, "Oh, have a pre-qualification," I say no.
So you're saying
because see, my thing is if you can't field 11 pro players, you shouldn't be allowed to compete. Because what's the point here?
So should they just do friendlies then, or like abolish the FA?
Do friendlies, do like simple this is like exhibition games for sure. Like I think because again, you don't want to deny the city of San Marino or so forth from seeing top players. So maybe they can work out something with FIFA that says, hey, for a nice exhibition walk around. Basically, if you want to just go like a training exercise, you want to just train out to your players, hey, go to San Marino, chill out and so forth, and could be a good exhibition thing. But for competitive football, you can't allow this team to face against other pro teams because it's not even fair.
Is this the same team that celebrates when they score one goal? Or
this
is the same team?
Yeah.
Because they hardly score.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, like, what's the point of competing for like World Cup qualification? They're never sniffing a World Cup qualification. They're not sniffing a Euro qualification. So, just abandon the ship and just do friendlies and exhibition matches.
So Umbani, talk to me, man. Shed us some light on this whole San Marino thing, man.
Last week my mom was cooking stew, and when I tasted it, I was like, Mom, which oil did you use? She said she used coconut oil.
Okay.
I blame Copino of San Marino for this because he is the olive oil company guy. So there was no olive oil at the store, so my mom bought coconut oil. Because this idiot was busy at the San Marino camp to go and hold 10. I went to hold 10 against Queen Lizzie's boys. Olive oil company worker. Do you know how hard it is to do olive oil? There's a process. You have to first carry the fruit, then process. Oh my God.
No, it's basically, it takes time. So my thing is that why shouldn't, so you're denying this man focusing on ensuring his man perfect. This guy runs an olive oil company. What business does he have playing a football match against full professionals? What's the point? But yeah,
I have no idea. This should not be happening. This should not be happening. And then that's why, forgive me, this is why I don't really care about international football. Because you can say the World Cup, but this is all parts to get there. When we are having, this never happens in club football. You will never see. Chelsea versus Malmo is a more competitive game than England versus San Marino.
For sure.
And even the Euros, look at Italy. Italy are struggling to even qualify. They have not even qualified yet.
Yeah, they're in the playoffs. Yeah.
Yeah, but this is just the standard is low.
I want to hear people's solutions. So, should there be a pre-qualification with all of these brick teams, or they shouldn't even be allowed to compete?
They should have something called I don't know if it's the Junior World Cup or so they can have their own battle of the bricks. Because this guy, I'm just saying it, until the day we leave this earth, these guys will never, aliens will come, and San Marino have not won the World Cup.
Oh, no.
They will never win it.
My thing is, so let me even bring up this other image. And I want you to look at this image right now, because I want you just to put it into context, and then I will come to Mr. Babadani. And so this is England's group. So San Marino played 10, won none, drawn none, lost 10, scored 1, conceded 46.
Negative 45. Wow.
In 10, they've only scored 1 goal in 10 games.
My God.
Like, that's just stupid. Like, for me, it's not even, I told you, we don't normally, like, we laugh and so forth. It's not even funny. It's not even funny. It's basically stupid. But Danny, talk to me, bro. San Marino, man.
So, I'm going to be honest. I'm not surprised that England put 10 past them. I didn't watch the game because I just don't care for European qualifiers because they're just a walk in the park. Like, it's just, I already know. I mean, sometimes I'm surprised, like, last World Cup was Italy not making it. And Portugal going into the playoff. That's surprising, but overall, like it's just not even. I mean, it's not even funny. It's just sad, and it's like I don't know. Europe is just the easiest qualifiers, and they're just not. To me, they're just not entertaining. So
No,
I watch some
but my
games and
thing
I
that
skip.
what should be done with San Marino?
Why are they competing? Like, if you can't field 11 pro players, like, what is the point? I know, like, we always have this story of like the underdog and like, oh, anyone can do it,
Man.
but this is not. No,
No.
this is
You see,
this is
but
the real world, and that's not happening.
But then, thank you. I love the underdog story. I love the
Yeah,
underdog story. You
who
see,
doesn't?
yeah, like Greece, that's an underdog story because see, an underdog story is you don't have a chance, but you have a chance. Your chance is very
Yes,
slim, but you have a chance.
it's like a
San Marino
5%,
have
zero.
San Marino have a 0% chance. So it's not even an underdog. It's like this. You shouldn't even be on the pitch.
No, they shouldn't. No, it's an absolute joke for England to face this team and I don't know what the solution is. I mean, I'm a little bit meaner on this where it's like I don't think they should. I mean, maybe having a pre-qualification for qualification is what should be done. But you know what I think? I mean, maybe make it more competitive if you give Europe less spots because in my opinion, hey, I like the European teams, but they have the most spots.
Yeah.
And there's other continents that have um a lot of good teams too, but that don't make it because there just isn't enough
No,
spots.
yeah, because I mean,
So
for me, I do feel that they have to balance things out. I think
yes, it's so biased to Europe.
yeah, I
Like
mean, you need to give South America maybe one or two more spots, Africa one or two more spots, and take one or two more spots from Europe. Because at the end of the
I
day,
agree with that. I agree
yeah,
with that because South America, we already know, which for me is the best qualifiers. Africa's pretty good too. Give them more spots because a lot of the African teams, they do pretty good in the World Cup. They surprise a lot of the teams. Give
yeah,
them
no, no,
more
no, no,
teams. And South
because
America too.
look, let's be real. Europe have because of European football and so forth, and the amount of African players now going to Europe. Europe overall will have a lot of the top teams and strongest teams. If
Yeah,
you just look
no,
at
I agree.
Spain, Germany, Italy, and so forth, and how well they've done. Boom, like these guys are
Yeah.
and France now. So,
The,
but
the top teams
like
are
if you
top.
think about it though, so Italy have won it 4 times, Germany 4 times, France twice, and really every other European team has won it once.
Yeah.
So basically, the European teams have England once, although home nation tax, and Spain once. But obviously, you have Argentina twice. Uruguay, I think Uruguay have won it twice. I
They
think they
have
won it
won it
twice.
twice, but it
They
was
won
like
the.
the
I think
first
they won
World
the
Well, I
Cup.
know, but
first
ages
two.
ago, ages ago.
And then Brazil, we already know 5. But here's my thing though. Here's my problem. Like, yeah, Europe. Okay, the Europe is dominating, but it's like the same teams dominating. So like France, well, France have been, I don't know. I would say since they won their first World Cup, they've been fairly competitive because '06, then 2018. So they have 2, and they also field a lot of good. Well, I mean, it depends on how you look at it. I mean, they field a lot of good players, but they also take. I mean, some people could make the argument, well, they're just taking players from Africa or whatever, but I
Oh
don't
no,
really
no,
care.
I mean, like, and that's just
I
the
don't
issue,
care
But
personally.
I do feel like there's be more. But beyond this, though, I mean, look. So Shan, talk to me, man. San, talk to me, Shan.
Yo, you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I've been saying it. Like every international break, we always say it because San Marino always get baptized, Gibraltar always get baptized, Lithuania always get baptized. Who else?
Liechtenstein,
Yeah,
Andorra.
Liechtenstein, Andorra. Yeah, all these teams don't deserve to be in that European qualifiers. No offense to them, but as a footballing country, you're not good enough. You have to go through pre-qualifiers to get in here, in my opinion. That's the only way to
No,
get rid
but
of
my thing,
these.
though, Shan, though, is that should they even be involved in pre-qualifiers? Because in those pre-qualifiers, those teams, whether you say Lithuania or so forth, those guys can field 11 pro players. So should San Marino even be involved in pre-qualifiers if you can't even field 11 professional football players?
Um, it's tough because I guess they identify as a country and they say that they should have the same rights as any other country
True.
to.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
But I saw, in South America and Oceania, is that the continent? With New Zealand and Australia?
Oceania.
Yeah. I think for the last World Cup, Peru played New Zealand to qualify for the World Cup, and that got me thinking: what if there was pre-qualification between different continents, and because Europe gets the most teams in the World Cup because they have the most countries, obviously. What if there's pre-qualifications to see who actually can play in the qualifiers? And that would mean that other continents could get more teams to go to the World Cup.
Yeah, that would be fair. You see, that's how I like that. I mean, to even saw the whole thing. Let's do cross-continent match. Okay, fine. Andorra, San Marino, Liechtenstein play against freaking Djibouti,
Honduras,
play against Chad, play against Mongolia, or Laos, also so forth, or Vietnam, and have those cross-continent things, and then have a specific place for these smaller teams.
Wait, HH, can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Don't you think that because Europe, okay, I mean, depends on how you look at it, but because they get so many spots, I mean, don't you think that it's kind of favoring them? That's why they win the World Cup a lot. A lot. I mean, their teams are good, but they also get the most spots. So don't you think if other continents got more, it could even it out maybe? Because I mean, the top European teams are the best.
My thing is that I would only agree if there was a widespread of European teams. The fact is that it's really only Germany. Basically, before France won it before France won it the last time, only 2 European teams had won it more than once: Germany and Italy.
That's true.
So France are now the 3rd team in Europe to win it more than just once. Apart from that, Spain once, England once. See, Portugal haven't won it. Netherlands haven't won it. So I feel that even if you decrease the number of European teams, Italy will always be a threat. Germany will always be a threat. And now France will always be a threat. You see, teams like England, Portugal, and so forth, you've only won it once. So they're never going to be a real threat. So, but I do feel that because it's called the World Cup. It's not called the World Cup featuring Europe. If it's the World Cup, there should be a balance of let's just try and, but the issue is that who created the World Cup? It's really Europeans. So because they created it, they'll always try and favor their continents, man. But I feel that, you see, we have the European champions, which is cool, but the whole point of the World Cup is because you want to try and in the World Cup, you want to try and get as many games between different continents as possible.
That's games we don't see. Games we don't usually see.
Yeah, so games we don't see because it's a whole like how South Americans play is totally different from how Africans play, how North Africans play, or how Asians play. So the beauty of the World Cup is, man, you're now seeing how Asians interpret the sports to how the Europeans, how Africans, and how South Americans do. What you don't want is you get to the semifinals and it's 4 European teams. That's trash. Because then it's
wasn't that let's
just watch
last time Euros. It was last 2018 World Cup. It was 4 European teams.
Yeah, it was, and it was
I mean, it was okay. It wasn't really the games were good, but it was kind of disappointing because it was
well, no, because
I didn't really like that.
It's why I've always hated a Champions League final featuring 2 teams from the same league. I've always hated that.
Unless it's El Clasico, but yeah, for me, I agree.
It's El Clasico, but really, ideally, a Champions League final should be against 2 teams from different leagues. Ideally, because again, it's we see this multiple times when they play domestically. So you want to change it up, man. So
I agree with that.
Puya, talk to me, man. San Marino, what should be done with these San Marino boys, man?
I think last time when we were talking about this, I said there should be pre-qualifying to qualifying. If you want to, you should deserve the right to come get pin slapped 10-0 at this point. Because, you can't just be allowed to roll in here and let Harry Kane stat pad you guys every single time. And then he becomes England's goal scorer of 300 goals because half of them are against San freaking Marino.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that my solution to this there should be a pre-qualifying to qualifying, because with that way, they don't have to worry about fixture congestion, because the players on countries like San Marino and Liechtenstein, they're not playing pro. They're electricians, they're plumbers, they're school teachers. So if anything, it's better for them because they get to play more times for their country. and there's more opportunities for them to fill seats in their home stadiums instead of trying to forcing to sell seats for like England versus San Marino, trying to force the English to come watch England versus San Marino in Wembley Stadium.
Yeah.
So I think pre-qualifying to qualifying for these much smaller, crappier nations is like the way to go. And as for San Marino, like I thought, okay, yeah, you know, they get to bring some of their guys and they get to play the world's best players, but like every time I swear the results get worse every single. They don't even learn. Like I watched some of the highlights and like they don't defend, crosses into the box, and then once Harry Kane scores the header, they all look at each other like, "Oh, we're supposed to mark that guy? Oh, we're not supposed to let them score." It's like they don't understand the simple rules and concepts of defending in football.
Did you see the first pen? Did you see
it's just it's a mess, dude. But yeah, I think pre-qualifying to qualifying is the way to go.
So that's my thing. You see, let me know. It's okay. See, my thing is that look, I remember Ivory Coast. Because see, the more numbers you have, the greater likelihood you have of going through. So if you have more countries of your continent, therefore, there's a greater chance of a really strong country has an easier group and an easier way to go through. So remember Ivory Coast golden generation. Pick Drogba, pick Yaya Toure, pick Carlo, all these guys who were the best players at their clubs. When they were at their peak, their 2 World Cup groups were super tough. Super tough. Now imagine if, let's say, you had 6 African teams. That's reason like likelihood of Ivory Coast maybe having an easier group, and with that easier group, they may top it. Then they may have an easier route, and maybe we see Ivory Coast reach a quarter or a semi. So if you have only 4 teams, it's harder for you to reach a semi. But if Europe has like 10 teams, there's a greater likelihood of you going further because it's like a numbers game, you know. So if you have more teams from your continent in a tournament, it raises the likelihood of you going further. But if you have less teams, logic states mathematically, logically, that you'll have more of a likelihood of going further. So that's the logic there, man.